Arden was not a man of great wealth. In fact, he had very little. He lived in a small, humble cottage on the edge of Lindar, a peaceful village surrounded by rolling hills and tall trees. His family had lived there for generations, raising sheep and tending to orchards. Arden's life was simple, and he found happiness in the small things. He spent most of his days on the hills, watching over his flock of sheep and thinking about his future. He often wondered if there was more to life than tending to sheep. Some days, he would look out over the valley and imagine what it would be like to live in a grand castle or travel to faraway lands. But deep down, he knew that these were just dreams. He was just a shepherd, and that was the life he was meant to live. One evening, as Arden sat under a large oak tree watching the sunset, he overheard a group of villagers talking. They were gossiping about Princess Isolde, the daughter of King Aldrich, the ruler of the nearby kingdom. They spoke of her beauty, her charm, and her grace. Arden had heard of the princess before, but he had never paid much attention. He had no reason to think about her. After all, he was just a simple shepherd, and she was royalty. But something about the way the villagers spoke about her caught his attention. They all admired her beauty, but there was something deeper in their words. It wasn't just her looks that captivated them. It was the way she made everyone feel special. There was a warmth about her that was unlike anyone else. Arden couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to meet someone like that. He imagined how different life could be, living in a castle, surrounded by luxury and adventure. But as quickly as the thought came, he pushed it away. He knew it was a dream, and dreams were for people who could afford to dream. He was just a shepherd. Princess Isolde's life was not as simple as Arden's, though it appeared so from the outside. Despite being adored by all, she often felt lonely. People loved her for her beauty, but they didn't see her as a person. They only saw the crown she wore, the title she held. She longed for someone who would love her for who she truly was. Her father, King Aldrich, was a good king, but he was always busy with matters of the kingdom. He loved his daughter, but he was distant, focused on the politics and responsibilities of ruling. Isolde felt isolated in the grand castle, where everyone seemed to want something from her. One day, while talking with her lady-in-waiting, Lady Amara, Isolde shared her longing for a true companion. Amara, who was always sharp and calculating, suggested that Isolde find someone who was not interested in her beauty or her title. Someone who would see her as just a person. That idea stuck with Isolde, and she decided to take a risk. She had heard stories of Arden, the simple shepherd from Lindar. His honesty, his kindness, and the way he treated his animals with care and respect intrigued her. She knew it was unlikely, but she decided to send him an invitation. She wanted to meet him, to see if there was a chance for a connection that wasn't based on wealth or status. Arden was shocked when he received the letter. He never expected to hear from anyone so important, let alone the princess herself. His heart raced with excitement, but also with doubt. He was just a shepherd. He couldn't imagine how he could possibly be of any interest to someone like Princess Isolde. But curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to go. When Arden arrived at the castle, he was speechless. The walls were tall and covered in ivy, and the air smelled of fresh flowers. The castle was more magnificent than he had ever imagined. He had seen it from a distance many times, but standing at its gates, he felt small. The servant who greeted him led him through the grand hallways, and Arden marveled at the tapestries and paintings that adorned the walls. The floors were made of smooth stone, and the air felt cool and grand. It was nothing like the simple life he knew. Soon he was in a large room where Princess Isolde waited. When he saw her, he was stunned. She was even more beautiful in person than the stories had described. But it was not just her beauty that took his breath away. It was her presence. She had a kind smile, and her eyes sparkled with warmth. "Welcome, Arden," she said, her voice soft and welcoming. "I'm so glad you came." Arden bowed awkwardly, not sure how to behave in the presence of royalty. "Thank you for inviting me, Your Highness. It's an honor." Isolde smiled and motioned for him to sit. They talked for hours. She told him about her life in the castle and the pressures she faced. Despite her status, she felt trapped in a life she didn't choose. She had no real friends, only people who admired her for her beauty or her title. Arden listened carefully, and for the first time in a long while, Isolde felt understood. "I sometimes wish I could live a life like yours," she said, looking at Arden with genuine interest. "You seem so free, so at peace with the world." Arden smiled. "It's not much, but it's my life. I've always enjoyed working with the sheep and helping my family. I don't need much to be happy." Isolde looked at him with admiration. There was something about his honesty that drew her in. He didn't want anything from her. He was just himself. As the days passed, Arden visited the castle more often. Each time, he felt more at ease with Isolde. They talked about their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Isolde shared her loneliness, her desire to find someone who would see her for who she truly was. Arden listened, offering words of encouragement and kindness. The more time they spent together, the more Arden realized that Isolde was not just a princess. She was a person, a young woman with hopes and dreams like anyone else. He saw beyond the crown she wore, beyond the title that set her apart from the rest of the world. Isolde, in turn, saw a side of Arden that no one else could see. His humility, his gentle spirit, and the way he treated everyone with respect made him stand out to her. She began to care for him in a way she hadn't expected. But not everyone was happy about their growing bond. Lady Amara, Isolde's lady-in-waiting, had always coveted the position of queen. She was beautiful and ambitious, and she had her eyes set on winning the affection of King Aldrich. To her, Isolde's growing attachment to Arden was a threat to her plans. She knew that if the princess became too close to him, it could ruin her chance of gaining the king's favor. Lady Amara began to spread rumors about Arden, casting doubt on his intentions. She told Isolde that Arden was only interested in her because of her title, that he was just another man who saw her as a way to climb the social ladder. She planted seeds of doubt in Isolde's heart, making her question whether Arden truly cared for her or if he had other motives. As the weeks went by, the bond between Arden and Princess Isolde grew stronger. They spent more time together, talking about everything under the sun, about their lives, the world beyond the castle, and what it would mean to live a life free from the constraints of their positions. Arden admired Isolde's strength and kindness, and Isolde found herself more drawn to Arden's simple way of living, his honesty, and the way he treated everyone with respect. Yet, amid their blossoming friendship, dark whispers began to surround their growing closeness. Lady Amara had been hard at work, stirring up rumors about Arden's true intentions. She spoke of him as a man who sought to climb the social ladder by using Isolde, claiming that Arden was only interested in her for her title and wealth. Lady Amara's words planted seeds of doubt in Isolde's mind, though she tried not to believe them. One evening, after a long day of work in the orchards, Isolde met with her father, King Aldrich, in the castle's grand hall. The king had always been distant, more focused on ruling the kingdom than on spending time with his daughter. But now, with whispers of a potential marriage between Isolde and Arden, he grew concerned. His voice was firm as he spoke. Isolde, I know you've been spending more time with that shepherd, but you must understand that our family's position is built on power and wealth. You cannot throw it all away for the company of someone who has nothing to offer. King Aldrich's words were harsh, though there was an edge of concern in his voice. He loved his daughter, but he was blind to the fact that she was yearning for something far more important than wealth and status. Isolde felt the pressure mounting on her shoulders. She knew her father only wanted what was best for her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that her happiness wasn't a priority in his eyes. She had spent so many years trying to please him, to live up to the expectations placed on her. But now that she had found someone who made her feel truly seen, the idea of losing him seemed unbearable. But Lady Amara wasn't finished. Seeing her chance to get closer to the king, she began to spin more lies, feeding the king's fears. She told him that Arden was unworthy of Isolde, suggesting that the young shepherd might even be trying to use her to get closer to power. The rumors grew, and before long, even the most loyal servants in the castle were questioning Arden's character. The following week, Isolde found herself sitting alone in the grand garden behind the castle. She had spent the past few days avoiding Arden, uncertain of what to believe. The rumors had unsettled her, and her father's warning only added to the weight on her heart. She thought of all the men she had been introduced to over the years, men with titles, lands, and money, but none of them made her feel as Arden did. Yet, she couldn't ignore the fear that perhaps Arden's intentions weren't as pure as she believed. The sound of footsteps approaching broke her thoughts, and she looked up to see Arden walking toward her. His face was somber, his usual smile absent. She could see the hurt in his eyes, and for a moment her heart sank. "Isolde," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've heard the rumors, and I know what people are saying about me. I want you to know that I never came to the castle for power or riches. I came because you are a kind and honest person, and I thought we could be friends. I care about you, Isolde, not for your title, but for who you are." Isolde felt the weight of his words settle in her heart. She wanted to believe him. She truly did. But the pressure from her father and Lady Amara's poison had clouded her thoughts. "I don't know what to think anymore," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I want to be with you, Arden, but there are too many expectations placed on me. My father wants me to marry a nobleman, someone who will secure the kingdom's future. I don't know how to break free from all of this." Arden reached out and gently took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "Isolde, I don't want to take you away from your responsibilities, but love is not about wealth or status. It's about honesty, kindness, and being true to yourself. I can't promise you a life of riches, but I can promise you that I will always be there for you, no matter what." Isolde's heart ached. She wanted to follow her heart, but she was trapped by the expectations of those around her. Still, there was a part of her that couldn't deny the feelings she had for Arden. He was different from everyone else, and she knew in her heart that he was the one she wanted to be with. As Arden turned to leave, Isolde called out to him, her voice filled with desperation. "Wait, I need time to think. I need to figure out what's right. Please don't leave." Arden stopped and turned back, his expression softening. "Take all the time you need, Isolde. But remember, love is about trusting your heart. Don't let anyone else tell you what you should feel." Isolde watched him walk away, feeling torn between the life she had always known and the possibility of a future with Arden. She didn't know what she would choose, but one thing was clear. Her heart was with him. The following days were filled with confusion and conflict. Isolde tried to speak with her father about her feelings for Arden, but King Aldrich would hear none of it. He insisted that Isolde marry a nobleman, someone who could help secure the future of the kingdom. "You cannot marry a shepherd," he told her, his voice filled with authority. "You must think of the kingdom, Isolde. Your duty comes before your heart." Isolde's heart ached with each passing day. She loved her father, but she couldn't ignore the pull she felt toward Arden. The more time she spent with him, the more she realized how empty her royal life truly was. Despite the wealth and luxury, she had always felt alone. With Arden, she felt truly seen, truly loved. But Lady Amara's manipulation continued. She whispered more lies into the king's ear, suggesting that Arden was simply after Isolde's title and riches. The rumors continued to grow, and soon Isolde began to doubt her own feelings. Was Arden truly different? Or was he just another man looking to use her for his own gain? Finally, the pressure became too much. One evening, Arden was summoned to the castle to meet with the king. Isolde knew that this meeting would be the true test of their relationship. Would Arden prove himself worthy of her heart? Or would he leave, just as she feared? The meeting between Arden and King Aldrich did not go well. The king was harsh and dismissive, warning Arden that he was not of noble blood and that Isolde could never marry someone like him. Arden's heart broke, but he refused to back down. "I don't care about titles or wealth," he said, his voice steady. "I love Isolde for who she is, not for her crown or her kingdom." Isolde, who had overheard the conversation, felt a rush of emotions. She realized that Arden's love for her was true, and that her love for him was real. She couldn't let her father's expectations dictate her life any longer. That night, Isolde made a bold decision. She would leave the castle and be with Arden, the man she truly loved. She would no longer be a pawn in the game of politics and power. She was ready to follow her heart, no matter the consequences.